Hi, welcome to an update clip. I am your host, Barrington Miller, Director of Issuer Engagement at the Canadian Securities Exchange. And today I am here with the CEO, Mr. Jonathan Challis from Alerio Gold. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Barrington.
So, if you're new to the story and new to the Canadian Securities Exchange, heck, even new to gold, let's find out a little bit about Alerio. So, where are you operating? Where are your projects in the world?
Okay, Illario is just recently listed on the CSE. We're operating in Guyana, which is South America. It is a very prolific gold mining area. There are several producing mines in the region. The geology is very, very similar to that encountered in West Africa. So there is a lot of similarities between structures. Illario, whilst being a new company, is not looking at grassroots exploration. We have an advanced property where back in 2010, when the gold price was $1,000 an ounce, SRK produced a preliminary resource number on the property based on $35 million spent, and a considerable amount of drilling had taken place of about 500,000 ounces. That obviously needs verifying today in the current era, but it's something that we are very comfortable with, the deposit being open at depth and on strike, both north and south, east and west. We are confident we can add to that over the next couple of years as we develop a prolific exploration program.
So, Jonathan, I want to know a little bit about you and how you ended up to be the CEO of Alerio. What drew you to the company, or what drew them to you?
I think it was one of these serendipitous occasions where I was aware of the SRK report. A fellow that I was at university with had been with SRK for a number of years, and I came across this report 4 or 5 years ago and looked at it and thought, well, if there had been other firms that had written it, I would have not taken it with as much faith as I did this time. So Guyana at the time, I remembered Omai from the days of Cambior back in the 1990s. You know, it was a very easy place to operate. There's been a lot of oil and gas investment in the country. An old uncle of mine had been in the British Army and had been based in Guyana for a number of years. It was always somewhere that had appealed, and this was a perfect property and project to get involved with. So eventually I was introduced to Ron. The whole thing came together over the course of the last couple of years, and really in the last 6 months we've worked hard with the CSE to get it listed, and now we're ready to go. We've got a good team in progress. We have Greg Smith, who's the geologist and the COO. He really understands. He's been based in Venezuela for a number of years. He's taken projects from this stage through to a much bigger resource number. We have Lee Graber, who is involved in a bauxite mining operation in Guyana. We have a good depth of people involved, and this is what makes the company is the team that we have here.
Oh, I love it, because I was about to ask you if you could talk a little bit about your team, but it sounds like your team is part of your differentiator from other gold projects. Is there anything else that investors should know, or would-be investors, that is special or unique about Alerio?
It all comes down to really, 3 factors in the mining business: property, people, and the ability to raise funds. We have a good team of people. We have a property which is proven. We have the ability to raise funds. One of our other directors is Al Fabro. He's obviously been in the brokerage business for a number of years. I have a background in the brokerage business in Canada as well. We all have good experience in finding money. And we believe that with a properly based and directed exploration program, we can add significant resources to what we have already inherited going forward.
Now, if you've been watching and following my show or shows, you'll know that I have a special relationship with gold, in that it drives me crazy because it is a mineral and a currency. But I always like talking with people that know a lot more than I do. Can you tell us about the current landscape of gold, or where you think it's headed and the price?
Well, gold is one of these commodities that I remember when I first got involved in gold way back in the 1970s, and I was working at James Capel in London, which is one of the old established mining brokers in the town. No longer exists, part of HSBC now. But the senior partner on the mining side always used to say that back in 1870, a gold sovereign would buy you dinner in the Ritz Hotel. In 1914, a gold sovereign still bought you dinner. In 1938, a gold sovereign still bought you dinner. And in 1970, it still bought you dinner. Currency didn't. So it was very much a store of value and something that we have seen change. And looking back in 2010, when this resource report was written by SRK, the gold price was 2010. Lots of companies in 2010, the gold price was $1,000 an ounce. A lot of companies at the time had good properties, but the investor sentiment towards gold was negative. The gold price was not performing, and despite the financial issues around the world back in 2008 and so on, the gold price had never really taken off. It wasn't until we get moving in the last 3-4 years that the gold price has started to respond. And I think that with the focus these days on issues such as climate and greening up the economy and so on, with the inflationary problems that look around the corner, I believe that there's a new future coming for gold. There is not a great deal of new production around. There's not a great deal of new discoveries happening anywhere. When was the last big multi-million ounce gold discovery that happened in the world? It's getting harder and harder to find these things. They exist, but they don't exist in places where people really can work or can do things. There are parts of Africa where I no doubt you will find good gold deposits, but the politics and the climatic difficulties make life somewhat difficult and challenging. Here in Guyana, we have a saprolitic based deposit, which is very easy to work, low cost because it's very weathered rock. So this gives us another advantage here in this part of the world with ease of access and everything else. We're not 1,000 kilometers from tidewater. We're 100 kilometers from tidewater. We have barge access to the property. We have an airstrip. We have a camp. So we've got lots of differentiators here. We're not living in tents in the Arctic. We're not living in porter cabins in the jungle. We've got an established base here that we can work from.
Well, Jonathan, I really, really enjoyed that. And you know what? You brought up an excellent point that I haven't really heard when determining, I guess, the interest and the investment opportunity, and it's investor sentiment. So you can have a great project and the price of gold or whatever commodity can be super high, but if investor sentiment isn't lined up at the right time, then you could see what we had in 2010. And I think that's a really good point and a really good observation. So thank you for sharing. If you would like to learn more about Illario, please visit their website at www.illariogold.com. It's a new website. It looks sharp, crisp, and clean. I like it. I was just on it. And if you like this story and you want to find out more interesting stories as well at the CSE, please visit our YouTube channel at CSE TV, as well as Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I've been your host, Barrington Miller, and today I was speaking with Jonathan Challis, CEO of Alerio Gold Corp. Thank you, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to another newly listed on the CSE. Please feel free to hit like and share this content and hit subscribe if you haven't already.